And I always thank myself and forgive myself at all times for taking so long to get here. And we all have to forgive ourselves first and say, hey, we only knew what we knew then, but now we know what we know now, and we have these tools and these frameworks and the freedom and resilience I feel now. It's like it's a blessing, really.
Welcome to the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast, where you will learn simple solutions to win at work without losing at home. Hi, my name is Martine Williams, and I'm your host and CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And this podcast is your one-stop shop to creating a burnout-proof life and business by elevating your clarity, confidence, and courage. Friends, it's time to say goodbye to being the yes girl, to procrastinating on your goals and living in overwhelm. And it's time to say hello to creating healthy boundaries, healthy mindsets, and healthy habits so that you can achieve work-life harmony. Your next breakthrough starts here. This is the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast. Let's do this. Well, hey, Mompreneurs, welcome back to Life Coaching for Mompreneurs. I'm your host, Martine Williams, and your CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And today we have a Turquoise Talk guest, Charity Brown, and I'm really excited for you to hear this interview. So let me tell you a little bit about her. She is a happy CEO is kind of her brand, CEO, keynote author, and coach. She is dedicated to helping leaders clarify their vision, set ambitious and achievable goals, and to unlock their full potential using the power of the Happy CEO method. So we talk about the 4 Ps of that framework. We talk about burnout. We talk about what is clarity with Charity. And so you're going to love this conversation just to hear her story of how she became the amazing entrepreneur that she is today and her mission to help other women. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Well, welcome back, friends, to the show. Today we have a Turquoise Talk guest, Charity Brown. Charity, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so excited for this interview.
Thank you, Martine. I am so excited to be here.
So tell us just a little bit about you, your family, and how you got into the work that you're doing today, which may be like, oh, that's a long story. How long do we have? But I love stories. I think they're just so powerful for women to hear.
Yeah, and my story is probably relatable to many as a mom. And I was a younger mom, in my early 20s, and I had already decided to take the alternative route with my career as I went into beauty school right out of high school and got my license and thought, wow, I'll open up a salon. And I'm like 19 and I don't know anything about business.
So great.
So my journey started off, with no maps, no know-how. Like they don't teach you how to balance your books or market your business or pretty much, get leads and prospects in beauty school. They just teach you how to, do hair and chemical processes and, get out there and use your trade. So it was a difficult road at the beginning, but that drive to want to be independent never faded. So about 2 years after I opened my salon in Corvallis, Oregon, after 7 Hair Design, where I had my little table and I was kind of defeated because my books weren't filled up. I didn't have a whole lot of support because it's a very small town, maybe like 30,000 people when the students weren't there. So you have to do a lot of extra networking and rubbing elbows and going out there. And I was kind of shy. Not only that, I definitely was probably more insecure at that point just because I was kind of a new adulting and having a hard time doing it. So,
Yeah.
but we can pull out of that. And that's the key. Like, when I became pregnant with my daughter, like my whole life shifted. I realized that I did need more education. I did need more guidance. I needed mentors. I needed support. I didn't want to be in it alone. And so that was like the key point in my life when I realized how important like mentors and coaches are, because I had a wonderful mentor while I was pregnant, Janet, and she owned a commerce center and like an airplane and like a natural path business. And she really took me under her wing and encouraged me to, get a degree. And I'm totally pregnant at this time. And she's, helping buy cribs for me and like get
Yeah.
me a nice place. And she was like so understanding and like pretty much gave me the keys to her business and said, look, I trust you. I want you to do this. So she helped me through school and I got a degree in business and accounting. And I ended up leaving the beauty business and started my own accounting and bookkeeping business
Okay.
with her help. So that was like a huge shift. But, I was determined.
Mm.
I was determined to really do what I could for my daughter. And during that time, if I didn't have mentors and coaches like Janet, I literally would have been stuck, probably feeling pretty defeated and taken
Mhm.
me years to build my book of business in that small town because there just wasn't. And it was like kind of the turning age of, you know, manicures to acrylic nails and
Right.
airbrushing,
Yeah.
all those
Yeah.
things that were kind of newer. So it was a very small town, so people weren't really hip to it.
Yeah.
So it was a bumpy ride. But yeah, and then I guess my main message as, being a mom and an entrepreneur, since I started young and I did have some failures, but the reason I always bounced back was I would find the right people
Yeah.
that could help me. And, even going to a Tony Robbins convention when I was like 20, like that was like a life-changing event. That was like a whole transfer of my identity.
Yeah.
Like I was really lost as a kid for a long time and as a young mom. I didn't really know exactly what my purpose, mission, and passion was in life, At that young of an age, we're just kind of just like this big tornado full of emotions and feelings and trying to figure our own selves out. So dialing in to like my core identity,
Mhm. Yeah.
vision, values, what does happiness look like? What does success look like to me? Because a
Right.
lot of times we live in our family matrix and we want to make everyone around us happy and do what they think is best for us.
Yeah.
And so I was a people pleaser for many years or a parent pleaser or, just a family pleaser. It's like, I just want everyone happy. Okay.
Right. That's right. I get it. I get it totally. And so many women listening understand that, right? And so many women, they do like we get in this like loop of the people pleasing and living up to the expectations of others and letting other people define what should make us happy or what success should look like. That my audience has heard me say shoulding is shaming. And so we go through all of these shoulds in our life. And so I would love for you to share just a little bit more on that. Like, how did you what was it the Tony Robbins event? Was it certain work that you did to kind of help you be a recovering people pleaser or kind of get to the other side of that?
hmm Yeah, it was literally a transformational shift mentally. Like
Yeah,
we have to jump in feet first and, having guides and coaches and mentors to help guide us on the right path to do that. So it's not like this
yeah.
just chaos that we kind of take for granted or don't really believe in what we're trying to fix within us.
Hmm.
So I went to the convention where they like lock you in the room for like a weekend, and you're like in this huge auditorium and there's all these frameworks, there's physiological changes, there's mental changes, there's breath work, there's all this stuff that you can incorporate the ideas and thoughts and feelings that you're having and being
Right.
able to kind of see yourself in a different light. Well, if I have the power, if I really believe in myself enough to make these shifts and changes, they
Hmm.
happen. And
Right.
self belief is like, it doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
And,
Yep.
a lot of people will feel like I'm fooling myself. Like,
Mhm.
keep telling me all these great affirmations. And I'm just like,
Right.
I kind of hear my subconscious going, yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Hmm.
So I think that was the first thing was the self-confidence, the self-belief,
Hmm.
and then cultivating more self-love, which happened. I mean, it took me a lot of years to get to a place where I loved and respected myself to a point where undoubtedly, with certainty, I would accomplish what I'm doing.
Hmm.
I guess, being insecure, I've lost 100 pounds. I wasn't always like as fit as I am now. And
Right.
I kind of had a lot of childhood shame issues, a lot of childhood wounding. And that really cultivated in my young teenage years and also as a young mom,
Yeah.
because I didn't have a whole lot of good experiences. So I was constantly just trying to be the best mom, the best mom, the best daughter, the best kid, the best this, overprove, constantly
Yeah.
like overachieving, overachieve. I had to prove myself. I felt like I had to prove myself because I didn't want people to think I was a failure because that's
Right.
kind of what
Hmm.
everyone thought. And
Yeah.
so I felt that pressure that I have to constantly prove myself. And that was not correct, but it gave me the fuel to press so hard, to get the triple degree, to open the 5 restaurants, to have my accounting and bookkeeping business, to scale my businesses to multiple 7 figures. I had to literally break the chains internally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We can't fix an internal problem externally, but I see that and I've done it too, right? Like all the doing and the proving and the pleasing and the producing and performing when it's an inside job.
Yes.
It's an inside job and that takes time. It takes being vulnerable, very vulnerable. It takes giving the help and support you need. I'm so thankful that you brought that up multiple times because we like to think that we either should be able to do it all by ourselves or that we just need to be that strong to do it all on our own. And in our thinking, the thinking that we currently have is very different than the thinking it's going to require to get where you need to go next, right? And so
Yes.
having that supportive person to kind of see your brain and see those thoughts that are popping up and help you to process through that. And it is a process. Like people see you now, right, in this new identity and they watch this process and they're like, I just want that now. It's kind of like the little
Yeah.
girl on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Like, I want it now. We all want those results now, but it is a process and it
Yeah.
takes time, but you just have to get started because the time's going to pass anyway. You just
Yes.
have to
And
get
that's
started.
the thing, the
Yeah.
starting. Start before you're ready.
Yep.
Start when you don't think you can do it.
Yep.
That's when you start. And then one little action step each day. And that's what the 9 steps to inner freedom, my coaching program, it was the Zen Zone mindset, but it's been a certification that I had gotten from my coach, Alan Knight, who's a former Zen monk who created this amazing framework that
Hmm.
has helped me shift and change and evolve so much. you
Hmm.
know, I I used to think writing down, journaling, and doing my affirmations, I was doing my inner fitness,
Hmm.
but that is not it. It's like that's like a walk in the park compared to going to the gym and doing the circuit training for like an
Yeah.
hour a day for a week. It's like lifting that inner dumbbell and reaffirming with yourself who
Hmm.
you are, what your plans are, what your goals are, what your mission is, why you're here, what you need to do today, what actions you're going to take, and then loving the process.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's hard to do because I'll be like, I don't know what I want to do. What do you mean? Like, is it just supposed to come to me? Like my passion, my creativity? Like, yeah, yeah. Like,
You're gonna
it's
fall this guy into my lap, right?
yeah, right. Like everything I don't know. It's and that's how frameworks help kind of like
Hmm.
dissect things into a more digestible way that our subconscious and our mind and hearts can, process in a way that isn't adding more stress and
Yeah.
overwhelm and frustration and
Yeah.
disappointment,
Yeah.
right? So, because
Yeah.
it can be like training for a marathon, like,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
got to cry it out, you got to
Yes.
fuss it out, pain no
Yes.
pain no gain,
Yes.
and people avoid it, they don't want to do it,
Yeah.
but it's the best thing I've ever done, and I always thank myself and forgive myself at all times for taking so long to get here.
Yeah.
And we all have to forgive ourselves first and say, hey, we only knew what we knew then, but
Hmm.
now we know what we know now, and we have these tools and these frameworks and the freedom and resilience I feel now. It's like it's a blessing, really.
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up too, because I see this in the clients that I work with too, is just, and I've experienced it myself, I'm sure you have too, is using your healing against yourself, where you're like, I should have learned this a long time ago. And it's like it's like the self-sabotage that we do is so real and can be so raw in that time. And so like that's a regret emotion, right? Regretting that you didn't learned this earlier when you, like you just said, you did the best you could with the information you had at the time. So
Yeah.
don't use your healing as an opportunity to beat yourself up that you didn't heal sooner.
Yeah, and that's the self-love compassion that like was a muscle that I never flexed. Like I was my worst critic. Like I wasn't that kind to myself mentally, emotionally, internally because I didn't know how to love myself and look in the mirror and go, you know what, I'm so proud of you today. Wow, you came a long way. Oh, I'm so proud of you. You accomplished this or that. I'd be looking in the mirror going, dang, you look bloated. Like, like I'd be like mean, right? I wasn't saying like nice, reassuring, loving things. But when I did, I started cultivating that self-love and forgiveness and compassion for myself that I never had. I was just always beating myself up because it was never good enough. I never felt like I was good enough. I was never enough. I was never rich enough or, thin enough or talented enough or, I was constantly feeling like I was never enough. So I know a lot of people can relate to that because, we want to strive. We want to set our standards high. And so I just put in lipstick, I'm enough on my mirror for like a year. And then
I
I got
love
over
that.
that.
I love that. The power of speaking those words, I am enough, over yourself and having them visibly like on your mirror is such a powerful, simple way to help foster and cultivate confidence, right? And
Yes.
foster like this new identity that you're going into. And I think we like to complicate the process sometimes too, when it can literally be that simple.
Yes.
That simple. Like what's the word? What's the words that you want to embody as a mom entrepreneur? And write those out. Put them somewhere where you can see them every day and don't just read them. Like I've had my clients do this before. And I want you to look in the mirror and I want you to say this to yourself.
Yes.
And they are like, I don't know if I can do that.
It's weird. It's
Isn't it?
hard.
It is
It's really hard to
hard.
do.
It
Yeah.
is. It is very
Yeah.
hard to do, but it's so worth it.
Hmm.
The work that internal work that is going to have external benefits and external, consequences or just amazing things that are going to happen when you spend that time to do that internal work.
Yeah.
So I know being a mom and having multiple businesses that you've had to kind of work through juggling all the things. And here on this podcast, we talk a lot about winning at work without losing at home. So can you
Mm.
share with those moms today, what are some of the things that you did to help you to do that? Because they want to be fully present at home, but they also, like, they don't want to have to sacrifice one dream for the other. And it
Right.
is possible. Women are
It
doing
is.
it every day, right? They're doing it
Yeah.
every day. Hey, friend, let's talk. It's time to book your clarity call. We are going to spend 1 full hour focused on you. A clarity call isn't about pressure. It's about possibilities. It's about you. You having a space to talk through what's on your heart and mind, you walking away with a clear vision and practical next steps, and you feeling confident in what's next and how to get there. You don't need to have it all figured out. That's my job. All you need to do is show up and we'll figure it out together. This is the best hour you can invest in yourself right now. Not in 6 months from now, not next month, right now. And don't just take my word for it. Here's what one of my coaching clients had to say after working together.
Working with Martine has been one of the greatest gifts I've ever given myself. She didn't just coach me, she helped me redefine myself. From the very beginning, she created a space where I felt safe, seen, and supported. With her guidance, I uncovered buried parts of myself, set boundaries I never thought possible, and let go of the constant hustle that had defined my pace for far too long. She reminded me that the grass really is greener when you step away from the pressure and you start living the life you were truly meant to live. Because of Martine, I now stand a little taller, I celebrate my wins, big and small, and I've learned to slow down enough to find joy in the everyday moments. That shift is priceless.
That transformation, it starts with one conversation. It's time to stop spinning your wheels and start making real progress. So head right now to martinewilliams.com or in the show notes and grab your private clarity call spot on my calendar before they're gone. And since I personally monitor my inbox, if you don't see a time slot that fits your calendar, just send me an email at martinewilliams.com with 3 times that do work, and I will make it work for you. All right, friend, let's get back to the show.
It is possible to love life. It really is on your terms. And that's what it takes. It's got to be on your terms or it's going to feel forced and
Yeah.
stressful and resistant and pressure and,
Hmm.
all that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is choosing you. Number one, your cup needs to be full. As a mom, you need to feel nurtured and loved and have your needs met. Then you can be
Hmm.
that for everyone instead of running on an empty tank. So I call it like filling your love tank. So fill your
Yeah.
love tank and do that by making it priority,
Hmm.
like scheduling your priority yourself first when you wake up. Morning power hour from mom. This is
Yeah.
mom power hour. Mom's gonna walk or do yoga, drink her coffee, write her affirmations, read in her book, something that lights you up, and then take action. So it has to be like, oh, here are my goals. Here's what I want to do, make one step further, get out inside, move around a little bit, come back in. You feel refreshed, you feel full, you feel, not like you had to jump out of bed with, fire under your fanny first thing, serving everybody, because that's the depletion, that's the burnout, because it's like fueling your tank. And I mean, I did that for so many years. I was running on empty, trying to please everybody, trying to, I had a corporate career too as a fractional CFO and consultant for many years, working with hospitality, restaurants, and nonprofits. And the fulfillment wasn't there. So how do we fulfill ourselves when, work is like a tool? We're using
Yeah.
the money. We need to pay the bills. So we got to do it. It's not necessarily going to be like, oh, I feel fulfilled. Like we just came
Right.
from a retreat, right? Like,
Yeah, level set the expectation there.
yeah. So I make my own retreat at home. I have my little room where I can go, I can sit in quiet, I can become aware and present in my own body. Because a lot of times I felt like I was a wind up doll and I was just going, view, view,
Yeah.
view. I was doing everything for everyone, human doing, but I
Yeah.
wasn't focusing on my human being aspects, the things that we really need to do inside.
Yeah.
So I would say first thing, mom power hour morning first, and find something you love to do, gym, maybe journaling, mirror work, dancing, singing, and always have it calendared. So
Yeah.
you'll know when you're skipping yourself and then you're aware, oh, that's why I don't feel very good today. I didn't take time for me.
Yeah, I can always tell when I have short-sighted myself or I've gotten out of my regular routine, whether it's just a season where the business is busier and I'm trying to just cram more in, and it's like a slow fade, right? Like you get all these systems and processes in place to make sure you're putting on your own mask first. And then, something happens in your life or in your business and it's just this slow fade away, but I can always tell because I get really, reactive to everything and everybody and just lost that like love and feeling for even the goal that I have right in front of me and the thing I'm even working on just feels like going through the mud. And so for some of you it might just be this slow fade, and so I love your thoughts of calendaring it so you can actually see, oh, did I hit that target today? Because you are a big rock in your business, you are a big rock in your life, and you have to put that one in first, or all these little tiny pebbles and sand and water are going to fill in that jar. And just prioritizing that, I see a lot of women, we just put it off. We put it on the back burner,
Mm-hmm.
especially if, you're in the zone of people pleasing. And if you're a performer, I'm a performer for sure.
Yeah.
Very high performing, high achieving. And so having that time for myself, but I learned the hard way, and I'm sure you did too, through burnout,
Mm-hmm.
that I am the
Yes.
asset. I'm the asset to everyone. I'm the asset to myself. I'm the asset to the business. So I have to take care of myself so that I
Yeah.
can be overflowing into my business and my team and my family and all of those things. And again, it seems so like a simple concept. And I know someone's listening like, oh, you'll make it sound so simple. But I really struggle with, or they're thinking to themselves, I really struggle in actually putting that into my dailies or in my weekly schedule. And I don't know if you catch this with the clients that you work with, but it's like this all or nothing mentality. If I don't have the full hour to do
Mhm.
something for myself or to go through the whole process, and I'm just going to skip, and then one skip becomes another skip, becomes another skip. But if you have 5 minutes, it's beneficial.
Yeah, even 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be the hour. That's the beauty about it. You're right. It's that initial I choose me.
Yeah.
I'm choosing to be a better me. So I'm going to take some time out, whether it's an hour or 20
Hmm.
minutes, 5 minutes. Yeah. And that's the inner fitness muscle flexing. And the more you do it, even if it's just 5 minutes, then tomorrow it'll be easier. And again, and you'll be like, wow, I actually do feel better. I feel more rejuvenated. I have more energy. I am in the flow. Like I feel like things are just lining up. And then when I don't, I feel like crap.
Yeah.
And things are funky and chaotic. And
Yeah.
maybe that's sometimes we have to like kind of hit that rock bottom where we're just like, I give up, I surrender. Okay.
I
You know,
know. I was on a call with a client the other day, and she was like, or she was a potential client on a clarity call, and she was like, I am miserable. And I said, I'm glad you're miserable. What I mean by that is sometimes it takes getting to that pain point before you actually do something about it. And so,
yeah.
I know that may sound insensitive, but I'm actually kind of happy for you that you're miserable because now you're ready to make a change.
Yeah.
And you weren't there maybe even 6 months ago. And so you're right. We do have to get to this like pain level to
Mhm.
where we're willing to do the work that it's going to take to create a different result. And we all have a different pain tolerance. Some people, I'm very high pain tolerant, so I have to get really myself in a real big bind before sometimes I make those changes. But I'm learning to
Mhm.
catch myself sooner and sooner. So I know one of the things you talk about is this 4 Ps framework. Was the power hour one of the Ps, or is this something?
Yeah. It's
Yeah, okay.
power. First P is power. You're
Okay.
like power. That's so cliche. Like power. What do you like? Superpowers. Like, yes, superpower.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So the four P's is power, planning, prospecting, and profits. And so that you can actually use that even this is for it's an entrepreneur, kind of staging
Yeah.
yourself for your best self and getting your vision right, getting your metrics in line, getting your business GPS lined out so you have a map of success. So we build that first you have to first believe in yourself that you can do it. So that's why we spend so much time on the power part. And then we start doing the design of the business GPS, and then we put the GPS into place, which then puts in prospecting, which is the lifeblood of your business that will send clients, and then profits. Since I'm an accountant, I'm a numbers girl, so I
Yeah.
like to help women understand their numbers and not be scared of their balance sheet and their profit and loss statement and their cash flow, and leverage it and use it, and eventually scale to the point where they might need one of my mentors like Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, who's endorsed my program, the 5-star business accelerator and the 4 Ps framework. And as an investor, he sees the value of these 4 easy steps that he's like, if everybody would do that before they come pitch the sharks, we would fund
Yeah.
80% more businesses, because it's literally everything for the foundation to solidify your business as legit with the banks or investors or partners and things like that.
So you said power, plan,
Planning, prospecting,
prospecting,
profits.
profits. Okay. Yeah. I love that.
Uh-huh.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I always like to ask this question about burnout. We talked about it a little bit, but it kind of shows up different for different people. And that's the kind of the myth that I think a lot of mompreneurs, I'm not in burnout because I'm not feeling XYZ, or I don't feel the same symptoms that this person felt. So I always like to ask the guests when they come on, if you personally experienced burnout, and if you did, what did it feel like for you physically, emotionally, mentally? What did it feel like for you? And then what did you do to actively work your way out of it?
Yeah. So I wrote a book on it, actually. The
Okay.
Create Clarity with Charity book is about my, mountain high, valley lows, my burnout, my complete despair, and kind of like just wanting to like be done after a series of my family members passing away, along with failures in my business, unruly teenager, bad relationship, hated my corporate career. Everything was just like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
too heavy to carry for one person.
Mhm.
Like it was just, and at that time, I was really, you know, searching for support. And, I needed the hugs. I needed someone to help guide me through the grief that I was suffering from. And at that time, I didn't have a whole lot of money because I got out of a relationship with my fiance who is also abusive, and I had to kind of escape along with saving myself, saving my livelihood, everything I worked so hard for my entire life. You know, I was just seeing it crumble. And
Yeah.
it did. It felt like fear, it felt like despair, disappointment, sadness,
Mhm.
sad, crying a lot. I cried so much because I was so disappointed that that happened to me. I was stuck in victimhood. I
Mm.
was at, all this stuff. I mean, when people pass away, it's not your fault, but the feeling of the loss of a business and not liking my career and feeling like a bad mom to a teenager who was a little unruly, even though she was an A student and a
Right.
varsity cheerleader. I've still felt like I'm not good. I'm not a good mom now. Look
Yeah.
at what's happening. I got into this. I feel like, my fiance disappointed me and just totally ripped the rug out from under me. And now what am I going to do? Now I'm
Right.
back at ground zero for so many years, building up my self-esteem, building up my confidence, building up my life, and then just looking at it and like, how am I going to fix this?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's that's again, and I use my resiliency because at this time I'd been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. My daughter was like 17, 16, 17, and I, had already had a 20-year career. And so I was like, still using my tools that I got from Tony Robbins,
Mm.
how to change your physiology, how to shift your mindset, how to reprogram yourself, how to become, that, okay, if I feel like this now, how do I want to see myself in 10 days, 3 months,
Right.
9 months? Where am I going to be then? Am I going to be stuck here? Am I going to be stuck down here? Am I going to feel like I want to give up? I want to throw in the towel and I just want to say, forget it all? Or do I
Right.
want to pick myself up, get on that treadmill, lose that weight, have a goal every day to get closer to being an independent freelancer again, because I had gone back to corporate and like abandoned all my entrepreneur stuff. And so it was really hard for me because the
It was
pay,
in your heart. Yeah.
yeah, it was like so hard. And I was like, I just have to start my business. I know how to make this money. Why am I choosing it? Then I started realizing it was me,
Yeah.
actually.
Mm.
I am stopping myself from being my best self. I am creating this feeling inside of me because I'm not taking action and I'm complacent and I'm just sitting here spiraling around in my doom and gloom.
Mhm.
And so I just started doing envision boards again. I was like, okay, I want to know what the good life looks like to me because I had lost sight. I literally forgot what I love to do, what I like to do,
Yeah.
what brought me joy.
Yeah.
Like I
Happens
was
all
so
the
busy.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, I
We're
was,
so busy performing for others that we're like, wait, what is it that I actually want? Or what is it that actually makes me happy? What makes me
yeah,
feel fulfilled? Especially if you've been doing that and it sounds like you were for so long, output, 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 that you forget about the input and the
yes,
importing of like plugging into your source of happiness and your source of energy. And so many women, I mean, Charity, when I ask them, like, what is it that you want? What is it that actually makes you happy? If you could create anything, what would you want? It's like deer in headlights blank look on their face because they just either haven't given themselves permission to do that, or it's just been so long. They've been so focused on others for so long. It just is a foreign question. They're like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, that's just a default answer that you have because you're afraid you're going to say the wrong thing. Like, just think about it for a second. If you had to guess, and then it's like, once it like opens just a little bit, then the floodgates are like, oh, okay, I can think about myself and I can think about the things that maybe I want to accomplish. But it's so common. I see it all the time where they just don't know
yeah.
what they want.
Yeah. And then, I think there's also that societal norm and like family dynamics where people are like, you're selfish. Are you thinking about yourself and like doing fun things for you when you got 5 kids and a husband
Yep.
and like 2 businesses? Like, how dare you want to go get a massage or go to yoga or go have a
Yep.
hot tub or go walk barefoot on the beach? Hey, that is a lie.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is. Mhm.
Society has created that negative belief
Mhm.
of, anti self love. And they're,
Yep.
and that's one thing, the priming you have to get over. And that's why you write things out and you say it and you read it and you say it. So we can reprogram these very repressive human frameworks that society has put on us.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people. I always felt guilty as a mom when I would take time and leave my daughter with my parents and I would go be with my friends or try to take a trip I was always in my
Yeah.
feelings and feeling guilty, you
Mhm.
know. So
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's coming from that core belief about
Yeah.
self-love, self-time, self.
Mhm.
People are like, oh, you be selfless. I mean, you don't want to be selfish. Like you're selfish if you're thinking about yourself the first thing in the morning. And that is not true.
No.
Because the rest of the day we're giving just because we want to put ourselves first, put God first, put ourselves first, cultivate for the
Yeah.
family, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's just a belief. It's like a framework that we've all grown up with that's kept us limited in our,
Yeah.
expansion
Yeah.
internally.
Yeah. I like to kind of flip it on its head a little bit and say, I actually think it's a little bit more selfish not to, because you're actually cheating others of the best version of you, right? They're just getting the
Exactly.
leftover version of you. They're not getting the best version of you when you are running on empty and fumes, and they're just like getting whatever's left. So I really do take it as a personal responsibility to
Mhm.
take care of myself, so that I can do all of the other things that I'm feeling called to do, whether it's in my faith or my business with my family. But it does start with us and being able
Yes.
to, and it is such a belief. That's why I love your first, just really talking about and spending a lot of time. I do the same thing with my clients, like really like, what are your core beliefs? That's where we have to start. We can't fix your behaviors without fixing your beliefs first. It just doesn't work
That's right.
that way. It doesn't work that way.
That's right.
So we could talk forever. You're just so
Yeah.
easy to talk to, but I would love for you to share with the listeners how they can connect with you, what you're most excited about in your business right now that they can maybe plug into, and then what's one final thought you would like to leave them with.
Yeah. So you guys can find me at charitybrown.biz. That is my website. That's also my Instagram handle. It's also my YouTube and Facebook. I have tons of free content on there, a bunch of podcasts, and I have free books, free workbooks, Ignite Endless Success and the Create Clarity with Charity book that has a lot of frameworks on, designing your life, custom design your life kind of tools.
Mm-hmm.
And we're actually doing live retreats and virtual. We're doing the 9 steps to inner freedom online, and I'm going to have an Eventbrite. We're going to do that next month, and we're going to do those every other week. So we'll have a group, Facebook group, and a school group where we'll do the 9 steps to inner freedom.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Fun.
And it should be
Fun.
fun. Yeah. And I'll have my former Zen monk coach, Alan Knight. He's also going to be in attendance. And we're offering the certification program. So once you go through the 9 steps and you feel like maybe you want to be a coach and you want a framework that's already kind of all dialed in, then you can get certified through us.
Very cool. That's so
Yeah.
awesome. We'll put the links to everything in the show notes for that so people can go check you out on your website, but also any of those free resources. So thank you for sharing those. And what's one
Yes.
final thought you would like to leave them with? One word of encouragement or just something you want to leave the mompreneurs with?
Yeah. I'm going to say my favorite is start before you're ready. Whatever you're sitting on the edge of your seat thinking that you want to do, do it. Take action and then you'll manifest it. It's just one step at a time, but take
Yep.
action.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got to take that first step. Got to take that
Yes.
first step. Well, thank you so much for being on here. This was amazing. And I know everyone's going to go and check you out. So thanks so much.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you so much for your time and sharing me with your audience.
This is awesome. All right, friends. Well, I will catch you on the next episode. Well, that's a wrap, friends. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I really hope it met you right where you are and gave you some encouragement for your day. Could you do me the biggest favor and leave me a rating and review? Seriously, it's the best way for you to support the show. And while you're there, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Thanks again. And until next time, I am believing in you always.